if our OCM team was on. Oh, there it goes. I see the recording going, so take it away, Dorelia.
Well, I have to remove my mute to get started. Let's start with that. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for Binti Training Part 2. It feels like so long ago that we were all together in different rooms across the state with Part 1 training. And I'm hoping that everyone is still as excited and happy with this transition into the foster parent portal. We're really, really excited to have launched this week. I do want to thank you all who have reached out to our support teams. We are getting some really, really great feedback from our chat team regarding the great questions that you're asking. It's helping us be able to identify areas that we have that we can add additional training about, or little areas to clean up. You know, there was a big data import with lots of information, lots of names. And as you're finding these things, we can act on them really quickly. So thank you all for your great feedback, for your collaboration, for just driving this forward and helping us make this experience better for you every single day. Lauren, do you have anything you want to share before I hop into the training? Or anyone else from the team?
Yeah, I'm just really excited. And I think the thing that I've taken away over the last couple of days is even when we've been identifying just small little unique glitches, we haven't found any major overwhelming system-wide concerns. So for those of you who had a unique outlier and you've reached out and you've asked for help, thanks for your patience. It's been fun talking with all of you and working through the issues. And I've just been really appreciative of our Binti team and our IT team and helping to resolve some of those very small things. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you probably weren't one of the few that had a unique situation come up. But thank you to everybody who was involved and continues to be involved. So, Abigail, did you have anything you wanted to share? Because you've been busy.
Yes, no, I am just super excited that it's been going well. And yeah, we're getting a lot of great questions and a lot of good feedback. And I'm excited for you guys to be here today to learn more.
Yep. All right. Thanks.
Thank you both. So again, everyone, thank you so much. This is going to be part 2 of our training. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now with our quick overview. For this training, I am going to spend a lot more time inside of the demo environment, so you won't see this deck too much during our conversation, but I do want to give us a good overview of what today is going to look like. So for quick introductions, for those of you that I haven't had the pleasure of meeting, if I didn't get to meet you in person while we were in Missouri, my name is Dorelia Miller. I am the lead customer success manager for Binti. And my role entails just being your intermediate person between the state and Binti. I am here to help support and ensure that what we launched is working as it should. So I love interacting with you all and getting to meet each of you. My amazing counterpart, Mark, who you all also met on site, won't be able to make this call today, but he sends his well wishes and wishes he were here. You'll be seeing a lot more of him soon, but he just won't be on the call today. I do have Veronica on the call though. So Veronica, do you want to do a quick intro or say anything?
Sure. Hi, everybody. So great to see all of you. I oversee our implementation team here at Binti, so I've been closely woven in on this project. So super excited to see you all go live, and I'm here to support with any questions that might come up today and to be a great support to Dorelia. So thanks, everybody, for participating.
Thank you, Veronica. Veronica is also going to be helping us with chat today. So as questions come up, as thoughts come up, just drop them into the chat. When I'm sharing my screen, I can't see everyone's faces, or if you come off mute, I won't be able to see it. So make sure you drop anything on chat, or you can come off mute and interrupt while I'm talking, just like we had our conversations in person. Feel free to ask any questions. All right, for our quick agenda for today, we quick welcome, took care of that part. We're going to do a recap of our part one training. So we completely understand that our part one training was a lot of information in one long day. So if there was anything that you want to recap, or if you feel like maybe that part one training just was really hard to retain, or maybe you need some additional information, we will have the opportunity to schedule some additional one-on-one part-time trainings. We do have a lot more information to cover today, so it's not going to be a full in-depth training of part one, but know that if you are still feeling a little like, maybe I can do a recap of part one, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can reach out, we can schedule one-on-one training, or if there's a larger group that still wants some more part one information, maybe we can schedule a follow-up part one training. After our recap, we're going to start by reviewing your caseloads and helpful actions. So when we were doing our part one training, you didn't quite have your caseloads ready. And since we went live, now you are able to see your caseload. We want to walk through how to review your caseloads, how to filter out by your families, what to do when you are reviewing a case. What are those key areas to look into, like what template they're on, what status they're on, how to make sure that everything that was transferred in is in the right place and it looks correct, and how to make any adjustments. The second piece that we'll cover from that is how do we assign workers. The data that came through was in the best shape that it could be, but if there may be some things that were not updated previously before the transfer. So if you need to transfer a case to a different worker, if you want to assign an FCARS TC worker to one of your records, we're going to walk through how to do that. The other thing that we're going to cover is the renewal lifecycle. So in part one, we spend a lot of time in the initial application, what that looks like, where the forms live, what are the requirements. In this in this part of our training, we're going to talk a little bit more of what it looks like once a family is licensed, and how do we keep their licensure going? How do we do the renewals? How to approve a renewal, what it looks like inside of the system when a family gets renewed. After that, we're going to talk a little bit about the quarterly visits and case notes. So quarterly visits, all of those forms live inside of the renewal templates. So we'll show you what that looks like, how those are populated, how you fill those out, and then how they show up for your families to sign and review. We also are going to talk a little bit about where to enter case notes. It's one of those little tips and tricks that we didn't quite have enough time for in part one, so I'll show you where that lives. After that, we're going to talk about transferring templates and status changes. Some of you that had those really fun edge cases already over the past 2 days maybe had a quick introduction into what it looks like to transfer a template, how to change a status. Maybe a family came through and they were still showing as applying, but they've actually been licensed and they should have been in review. Again, very small subset of you all with some of those edge cases, but now that you are working inside of Binti, you're going to be transferring templates. What is the difference between a template transfer and a status change? I'll make sure to explain those two for you all. And then some other helpful features like holds. How do you enter a hold? Where does that live? What does that look like? Appeals and complaints. Some of those you may not need to use, but we want to make sure that you know where they live, how to use them if you do have a case for them. We're going to hopefully have enough time to cover all of that in the next 2 hours. And then we're going to do a quick next steps and wrap up. If there is time, we do want to leave some time for questions, but also know that there are office hours scheduled weekly between we had our first one yesterday, and we're going to have one weekly. So if there are any specific case questions that you're running into, you really want to go more in depth into that, please join the office hours. Myself, Mark, members of your leadership team are there, and this is a time for you to really go in deep into some of these cases and these situations that you're in, and we can really do some one-on-one support with actual live data, since none of that is recorded. In today's call, I won't be able to go into in-depth questions about specific cases because we are recording these trainings, so we don't ever share any real family information. So if you do have a question, please refrain from asking using the family's real name or bringing up an exact case. just so that we can protect all of our family's PII. So for that, you can reach out to us separately or join our office hours. We'll make sure to get all of that information to you. All right, before I dive in, all the agenda look good. Can I have some thumbs up? Any questions, any comments? I see some thumbs up here. All right, let's kick it off then. So training one recap. So excited to have met all of you during our part one training. I'm gonna close my screen out so I don't look at the chats, because I get myself distracted once I start trying to read. I know I can trust Veronica, she has it. All right, I'm gonna turn that off so I don't get distracted. It's so fun having virtual trainings after being in person. I think I prefer in-person trainings. I can see your faces in person, and here I feel like I'm just talking to myself. So training one recap. What we did during training one was walk you through all of the parts of Binti. We showed you what the families portal looks like. We showed you what your worker portal looks like, a high level overview of how those two pieces interact, how when your family is entering information during their portal, filling out their forms, you're seeing a lifetime update in your worker portal. So we showed you all of those pieces. And the areas that we wanted to confirm that were complete, and if those of you who were there remember, we gave you that handout. We walked through some hands-on practice of a lot of this information. Hopefully you were able to retain all of that, and now we're putting it into practice in actual production in your real family environment. But some of those things that we talked about are applicant data. What is applicant data? What does that look like? How you can find your families, how to find their address, who's part of the household, all of the data that is part of like the main page of a record. We talked about background checks, where those are submitted, how they are submitted, training hours, how training hours are entered, where that lives, the difference between a training hour record and the training certificates that live in the documents page. The care provider profile, the whole makeup of the home, the primary applicant, the co-applicant, how to add other individuals in the home, if there are other adults in the home, children in the home, where all of that lives inside of the care provider profile. We also talked about the person profile. So you have your care provider, and in each one of those you can click in and look at the person profile. And in a minute, I'm going to jump into the demo environment and show you these as well. So we'll get a quick recap. In the person profile, we add the marital status and ICWA information. We also talked about documents. What is the difference between the applicant data page and the documents page? What all of those requirements are for every household member that is going to be part of this license. And then also your agency forms, those forms that are part of the application that you fill out as the worker. License information, where do we update if a family is also approved to provide respite care? Level A, level B, all of the information that's part of a license, we walk through that. And then placement information. What are some of those placement preferences that previously were recorded in fax that are now recorded into the portal and now are getting integrated and sent directly into fax directly from the portal. From here, I'm going to jump into my next page, into the actual environment. So I'm going to change my tab and go into the portal. I'm going to click over to that. This tab instead. All right. So here is our Binti demo environment. We talked through this in depth while we were in person. And I'm going to give a quick overview of those pieces for those of you who just want a little recap. So in the caregivers, we're going to go into caregiver applications. This is one of those shortcut things that will allow you to view every single record inside of your caseload. Through this links here, this will link you directly to your families that are in initial applying, and these are your families in renewal. But for a quick view of everybody, your initials, your renewals, everybody that's part of your caseload, you can click on caregiver applications, and that's going to open everything up. This includes all of the families, and depending on what kind of access you have, you'll either view more cases than are assigned to you or just your assigned cases. You as licensing workers, a quick way to just view those that are assigned to you, you click on My Cases, and you'll notice that my cases are going to go down from 100, almost 200 cases to just the ones that were assigned to me. And we have our families that are in the recruiting status. For the integration, it's really important that all of our new families that are new intakes, they're going to automatically be in the recruiting status. And once that family signs their application and they are moved to applying status, that kicks off the integration with FACS. So it's really important that our families all start in recruiting. And I actually just saw that quick chat real quick. So I'm gonna show you that. I went through that a little quickly. So you're gonna click on Add Filter and click on My Cases up here at the top. And that will filter down just to the cases that are assigned to you. Right, if I go to all cases, and let's say in the case of some of you who are supervisors, you may be seeing all of the cases of everyone on your team. But if you want to just see if you are directly assigned as the licensing worker, you can click on My Cases and view those. The other thing that I want to call out is this link up here
I'm
for,
sorry.
yeah,
I apologize. Can I want to comment on that.
sure.
So because of the import from FACES, what Dorelia just went over is actually really important for supervisors. I would strongly encourage you, even if you think you don't have any cases in your name, to go and click that My Cases to make sure that you don't have any of your workers' families that were accidentally assigned to you for some reason. So it's probably a good idea for everybody that has like supervisory access, so your fours and supervisors, to just go double check that and make sure it's accurate.
Yes, really, really good call out. Okay. So now that you are viewing just the cases that are assigned to you, a quick recap that I wanted to provide you all is how to view who's assigned very quickly. If you aren't really sure if one of your applications is already assigned to an FCARS TC partner, that is visible here directly inside of your this view. If for whatever reason some of your columns look different, there is this hide column button, and just make sure that they're all checked off. If for whatever reason the partner agency column was unchecked, you won't see if there is a partner assigned. So you can just double check that and make sure that you have visibility of all of the columns. You can also hide any of the columns that you don't want to see if you want to save some of your screen time as well. So just a quick tip there. The status tabs up here are the families in recruiting, families in applying, and then your families in renewal are those families that are already licensed, and we'll spend a little more time talking about those in a little bit. What I want to recap really quickly is our case overview. So if we want to look at, for example, I'm going to go into my families in applying here, and we want to look at the Keller family case. In my instance here, I only have 3 families, so it's really easy for me to find my family. Don't forget you have your search button up here. You can type in the family's name or the DVN, and that'll be a quick way to find your families if you do have a larger caseload. In this case, I only have 3, so I found my Keller family pretty quickly. So I can take a quick look at them, and I can see who the assigned worker is, what county they're assigned, and where they are in their application status. Lucky for me, this family has almost everything complete. So we can take a look at their file and see all of the information that they've already completed, the forms that they have completed. So we'll open the file and we can click on their name, and that'll bring us to the applicant data page. If you need to reassign a case, which will be one of those things that case cleanup that you may need to do, you would click on Edit Application and scroll down to the assigned worker section of the applicant data page. Here you see the approvals worker assigned. This is going to be you. If you are the assigned worker, you would leave your name here. And if you want to add a partner agency, this is where you would add the partner agency. As soon as you click in there, you'll see a drop down, or you can start typing the name of the agency. So in this case, you say, let's say Family Advocacy Solutions is going to be our person. You can add that partner agency here. Once that gets added, you update application, and that will share that record with your partner agency. If you need to reassign an application, if for whatever reason it was assigned to you by accident, you can start typing in the name of the approvals worker that should be assigned to that application, and remove yourself. And that's how you would reassign an application. Hopefully there's not too many of those that were assigned to the wrong person, but one thing that you will do is a lot more is adding your partner agencies. Now, in the applicant data, we did have this question come up yesterday. If you notice there's any mistypes, you notice maybe the address is in there incorrectly, or the email address needs to be updated, that is something that you do also under edit application. All of the information that is part of the record can be edited in the edit application. The additional tabs up here are all of your document section, your case notes. All of those will go into in a little bit in a little bit in our agenda. All right. So the next thing that we want to make sure is accurate in our data is the template that your family is under. For this example, this family is in the foster parent portal, applying as a foster parent. So this is not a relative application. This is a foster parent, traditional family application. If you do have any cases where a family needs to transfer to a different template, you would click on the transfer application, and that will allow you to change the template to either the relative template, and if it's relative to your traditional template. This is also letting me know that this family is in applying status. Right here in parentheses, it lets me know that this family is not licensed yet. They're still going through the application process. So the title of the template is what kind of application they are under, and what you see in parentheses is where they are in their status. Once a family, yes, go ahead.
I apologize. I've seen Jill put her hand up, so I just want to pause in case her question is specific to what you're talking about right now.
Yes.
Jill, do you want to come off mute?
Am I off?
Yes.
Can you be in two templates at once? Because I have some relatives that want to become foster parents, but they still need their relatives situation.
So you have families that have a traditional license but want a relative license?
I have relative licensed homes that want to become full foster families, but their relative stuff still needs to be open because they still have placements or trial home placement children, or so. Can you be both?
Can I?
Yes.
Do you want me to speak to this?
Yes.
Okay. So yes, you obviously can be dually licensed. However, the process looks a little bit different in our foster parent portal than what you may be used to in FACES. For foster homes that they're licensed and they have a relative child placed with them, and they just need a relative license added, it's very easy to do. Going from relative to foster home is a little bit more complicated, and that's because foster home, to be a traditional foster home, they have additional requirements that they have to meet. Whereas if they're already a foster home going to relative, they've already met the relative requirements. We are working through some additional instructions. We had one of those cases come up already that we're testing a little bit. But we will be providing some very specific instructions about that coming soon. So I would encourage you, if you have a relative family who is in the licensing process and they for foster care, and they are going to be ready for foster home licensure soon, I would ask that you reach out to Abigail and myself so that we can track those and work with you on those until that instruction comes out.
Thank you, Lauren. And to recap really quickly, the way to know if your family is currently in what template they're in, what application they are in, if you look up here in the top left corner, this family says foster parent portal. So this is your traditional application process. If it were a relative, it would say relative parent portal. Another way to tell is if you look at the documents. And those of you all know your documents really well. You've been licensing families. You can also tell quickly by the type of documents that are inside of that template. So depending on where they are, you'll be able to tell if this family is working on their traditional application, which is going to have a few more requirements than our relative, than the relative application. So you can both look up here at the top left and also just verify what documents they are completing for you inside of their documents page. A few different ways to tell. And in case you missed it, on transferring the application, if they are in the wrong application, you could click on transfer application and then you can select another template from there. We are also working on a quick reference guide as far as what it looks like to transfer an application. There is an integration, so we want to make sure that the instructions we provide you ensure really clean data so that we're not doing anything that would mess up the data. So we'll make sure that we provide you with some really, really easy to follow guides for transferring applications, changing statuses if there are any nuances. Another question that came up was, how do your families access Binti? How do they get into their portal? So your families that are already licensed and are already in the process of maybe doing a renewal and you're doing those quarterly visits, I will show you in a bit when we do the renewal application. Your families that are still in applying status. So your families are now imported into Binti. And for you to help them get into the portal, you can click send welcome email. A quick tip is if you pull up your family and it says send welcome email, that means the family hasn't created a password yet. They haven't logged in yet. So by sending them that welcome email, they will get a quick invite, let them know that there is a profile ready for them and they can click in and set up their profile in Binti. Another tip is if you go down to the history, you can see if your family has logged in. So I've been doing most of the work here, so it's mostly me as a worker. But if you're curious, if your family has started working on anything, you can always go down to the history.
I was trying to get into Binti because mine was giving me trouble. I'm finally in. How did you get to where you're at now?
Of course, I will backtrack. So here under the caregivers on your top navigation, I'm going to click under caregiver applications. And that's going to give me a view of everybody in the dashboard. This are all of my families that are part of the of my records. Depending on your role, if you're viewing more cases than you're assigned to, just click on my cases, and this is going to filter down to just your cases. Now, to view a particular case, I want to see just one family's. I'm going to click on their name, and that's going to open up this individual's application file for you. Was that helpful? Did that?
Yeah, I haven't found my cases yet, but I've got the families. I just don't know where you found my cases.
Okay, I'll do it one more time here. We go to caregivers. If you're seeing a lot more cases than are yours, you're probably have access to view some additional cases, and your file may look like mine, where I have 116 families. I know that I'm not assigned to all 116, so I'm going to click on Add Filter. And under this filter dropdown is this little button called My Cases. That's one way. And like we talked about during our on-site, that the portal is really flexible. There's various ways to do the same thing. In this particular example, I'm showing you by clicking on My Cases. But let's say you are a supervisor and you want to look at one of your team's particular cases, one of your supervisees' cases. You can also click on Worker Assigned and type in the name of the individual that you want to see. So if I want to look at just Julie Jones's cases, we can also do that by filtering. So various ways to view individually assigned cases, either by clicking My Cases if you just want to see what you're assigned to, or if you are interested in seeing cases for one of your supervisees as well. That would be by filtering. All right, so I'm going to go back into where I was looking at the Keller families file. In the Keller families file, now I can take a look at where they are in their application process. Some of you will have families that have been working on their application already, but a lot of that work was done offline. So you come in, you have the families file, you click on the documents, and let's say, for example, you know that they've already completed that application and you have a digital or a hard copy of that application. You can use the upload button to upload those requirements that your family has already completed. That way, when they log in, they're not prompted to complete those again online, the digital version of that. So one thing I highly recommend as you're getting familiar with your cases, if you know right away that there are some families that have already started their application, you have their file in hand, that you begin to bring their case up to date with some of those requirements that they have already completed for you. And for a quick overview of how the documents are set up inside of your family's record, this very top portion are all of the applicant forms. Applicant forms means these are the forms that your family fills out. So thinking back to our pre-Binti world, our pre-Binti foster parent portal world, when you were handing the family your stack of forms, those are the forms that your family is filling out. They live here under applicant forms. So those are your things like the application, the family profile, financial worksheets, some of those forms that you would hand out to them. That is applicant forms. The next section are agency forms. So think of these as the forms that you fill out as the worker first, and then maybe your family will countersign them, but you are the one that is filling out those forms first. You fill them out for the family can review them and sign. These are agency forms, and that's where those live. So they're separated into different sections, your family forms, your agency forms, and then we have our home study. So home study lives here as well. And then we have reference forms. So these are references for your family. These are the names of individuals that they provide inside of the portal. And those reference forms will populate for you here under reference forms. If there are other adults in the home that need to have, let's say, for example, their fingerprint forms, any background check forms, all of those other adults forms will live here. Supporting documents are all of those items that they need to submit to you that they don't fill out. They actually need to send you photos of, proof of. Those are what we call supporting documents. That is something like an ID, a photo of their ID. All of those live under supporting documents. So if you, an easy way to think about this is, it's a something that I submit to you, but I don't fill in, I don't write on it, I just provide your proof of that. That is what we call the supporting documents. And this is where you will find them in your file. So if you already have a digital copy of a person's ID, you would use that upload button to provide that into your family's document page. There are many, many supporting documents, some of which will not apply to your families. So there is a waive option to waive some of those things that will not apply to your families. So you can waive some of those items. And then down at the bottom are Mo upload documents. So these are the items like the background check results. So you would upload background check results in this section. Another item that you'll notice in your relative application is in the relative home study is not an actual document itself. That is going to have its own Mo upload. And this is just for our current launch of the relative portal. You will see a Mo upload for the relative the relative home assessment. That's going to be an uploaded thing, and that only applies to your relative families. That's a quick overview of the documents for your family. Again, if you have really specific questions about a particular family and a particular document, please join our office hours. We can go through those more in depth with you, or you can reach out and we can do a quick one-on-one and look at a case file with you directly, either with myself or a member of your leadership team. All right, so moving on. From here, we want to walk through what we do once a family's record is ready. So there are some items that you need to complete outside of the documents before you send a family to be licensed. One of those things is the caregiver profile. We want to ensure that the makeup of this household is fully covered and we have everyone identified that's part of this home. You would find that by clicking on Care Provider Profile. In a family where we have not confirmed whether there are other adults in the home or not, you would see a call out here asking you to enter other adults in the home. In this example, I've already noted that there are no other adults, so it's not giving me that call out. But if you know that there is another adult, maybe a tenant, an adult child in the home, you'll have the opportunity to add them here under that Care Provider Profile. This is where you can also add a DVN. If there was an intake of the family, a DVN didn't exist yet when you did the intake or the family signed up and then it is assigned to them, this is where you would click on edit and you would add that DVN number. Really important, DVNs are very important for the integration to happen. So just double check that you have DVNs on all of the families that have one. Click cancel here. All right, so this is our care provider profile. Before you send a family to be reviewed for licensure, you also want to make sure that you are clicking on the caregiver's profile details. This is where we would update the marital status for both of the individuals in your home. To do that, you would click on Edit Person, and you would scroll down to marital status and add that information here. This is marital status is not part of the intake on the applicant data. It is only under that edit person profile. So one of those little things that that is not part of the initial intake, but you do need a review before you send the family for approval. Go back to my person here, and we'll go back to their profile in the applicant data. So again, quick recap, care provider profile is where you view everyone that lives in that home. The other item that we want to make sure to review are placement preferences before we send the family over to be approved. To view that, you would click on Show in Dashboard. If you're inside of the family's record, you could go back to the dashboard view, or if you were just working on several families, you can click on your caregiver applications. The placement information lives under Actions. Actions, Edit Placement Information. So we will click on Edit Placement Information, and all of these questions will look really familiar to you. This is all of the information you typically entered in fax. It now lives under Placement Information. And I think
Hey, Darrell. Yeah,
Yes.
Dorelli, I just want to clarify. I think the name on this screen has been really confusing to people. Just to clarify, no child-specific placement information goes into the portal. All case management, child-specific placement information is still in FACES because it's tied to payment. When we think about the placement information in the portal, what that is your license, renewal, or approval capacity information when you enter that into FACES. So when you go to add the license, renewal, or approval, all the questions that are asked in FACES are now in this placement information screen. So I just wanted to clarify because I know the language is a little bit different and I think that's caused some confusion.
Yes. Thank you for that added context, Lauren. Yes, so it is caregiver preferences, but it lives under the placement information. So these are your caregiver preferences. In here is where you can add the capacity, the placement information, and the preferences that are part of the data that you previously entered in FACS. Quick recap, that lives under actions. Actions, edit placement information, which are the placement preferences. I'll also skip ahead really quickly here and show you that this is where you add a hold. I know I mentioned that this is one of those little items, additional functionality that we didn't get to cover in part 1, but just so you know, it is going to live under action. So there are 2 items inside of actions that live just inside here, and that is going to be adding a hold. I'll show you that in a little bit, and then also the placement information. And for those of you who are working a lot of files, actions is also a way to avoid multiple clicks. So if I were to click inside of here in the family name, it's going to open in the applicant data page. But I know that I just want to go look at their documents. I want to review their documents. You can always use this action menu to go directly to documents and not click on applicant data and then documents. So one of those things that you start to get familiar with how you navigate your portal. There's a variety of different ways to get there and some shortcuts along the way that you'll pick up once you get more familiar with the portal itself. All right, so with this family, now we're going to talk a little bit about what it looks like to change the status of an application. So I have reviewed all of the documents. Let's pretend this family is way on top of things. They finished all of their documents. I see green check marks. I see that home studies here, everything is ready to go. This record in my work as a licensing worker is complete. All of it is there. Now, if I want to view just one consolidated list of all of those documents, I can click on PDF of documents. If I want to give everything a quick rundown without clicking on each individual link here, I can click on PDF of documents. And that is going to, I'm going to share my next tab. That's going to help me to download a consolidated PDF document of everything that this family has completed. And I can scroll and view everything that is part of this record. So that another quick saver for you all if you want to review a full file. From here, the next thing.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. Can you show me where to get the full file again? Because I was reading and for some reason my brain can't do both.
It is okay. My brain can only do one thing at a time as well. I get it. You would click on PDF of documents up here on the top right corner.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's gonna create a PDF file of the full applicant record for you. A tip for those of you that are supervisors that are going to be reviewing records, that might be a really helpful tool for you all for downloading a full overview of the documents. If you just want to see one document, all you need to do is click on that hyperlink, and that's going to open to just that particular file. So there's different ways to view your file. Okay. Now back to my application. So I've updated the care provider profile. I have everyone listed in the home already. I have added the preference information, placement preference information that is all ready to go. I've reviewed the applicant data that everything is correct. Now I want to send this record to my supervisor to review and ensure that everything is ready for licensure. What you will do is click on Change Application Status. Again, this top button up here, change application status. I will change the status from applying to ready for review. Ready for review and update status. This will change my application from applying to ready for review. Because I am in an admin tool here, it's going to help me. It's going to let me to bypass some of the requirements that aren't complete here. and we'll click update status. You won't have this bypass. This will ensure that you have completed everything in your application, and it'll give you the ability to change the status to ready for review. Oh, and it won't even let me do it because I don't have a phone number for this family. Oh, the joys of training inside of a demo environment. I thought I had it all ready to go. Just 1 second. Let me add a phone number for this family. Let me find it. Applicant data. Where is my phone number? Here it is. Add my phone number. There we go. Submit that. And now I can change my application status from applying to ready for review. So see, it's foolproof. It's not going to let you do things if it is not completely ready to do it. Come on. Let's see, ready for review. Oh, demo.
When you changed or when you added the phone number, it was under the co-applicant and not primary.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, you're, it's really hard for me to see who's watching, so thank you for calling that out. 512, 222, there we go. Thank you. All right, let's try this one more time. Change application status, ready for review, update status. And there it is, success. If you saw that, there's a little green indicator saying this is successfully sent to ready for review. Up here, you'll notice that my status indicator changed from applying to ready for review. When I did that, my record, my profile is connected to my supervisor. So my supervisor will receive an email that says there is an application ready for review. And now my supervisor can go in, look at the documents, ensure everything is there, everything that is needed for licensure. And we did a great job. We get an A+. So now my supervisor can add the additional requirement, which is the state license. The state license is going to be created by the caseworker. In this case, that is the supervisor, and the supervisor will submit that. It'll generate a new agency form for us that the supervisor can complete right inside of the tool. So now we'll notice there is one item without a check mark. That is the state license. To create that license, you just click on that link. It'll already pre-fill everything that has already been entered. So you're not going to be clicking and typing in the name 100 times. It's going to be there. This is a traditional license. The start date, let's say, is today, and it's going to go through 2028. Let's say the 1528. This family is licensed for male ages 0 to 5 and females ages 0 to 18. If it is just, if the family is only approved for male, then you just leave the female unclicked. In this case, let's just say we're doing approval for both, and the capacity of this home is 5. Let's save and continue. And now we have a license available for the family. All right.
Hey, Dorelia.
Yes, ma'am.
I think we've received a couple of requests to maybe slow down just a little bit. I think people are having a hard time keeping up with the screen moving fast.
Thank you. I will slow down. Thank you for that call out. I'll slow down a little bit here. I do want to make sure that we get through our agenda topics. And if we don't, we can always schedule another one. Okay, so here is our state license. It is now ready for signatures. It's going to refresh for me here. It is done. So I can click on this PDF and I'm going to share the tab. Here is that license that has been generated for the family. It has their name, what they're licensed for, and it lives directly inside of your family's documents. Your family will also be able to access a state license inside of their portal. So if they log in back into their side of things, into their portal, they will now see a PDF under My Documents, and they can download that. You can also download it, the PDF, and attach it to an email and send it to them. But now this has been generated. The last step in this process is we are changing this application from ready to review to approved. So I'm going to go back to change application status. We are moving it from ready to review to approved. We're going to use that same approved date. The date that the application was signed will autofill for you based on when that family signed their application month, 2, 3 ago. This will be auto-filled for you based on when they signed that document itself. We're going to click on update status. And since I added my phone number already, it should let me move forward. And we're going to update this record. And then we get into the really fun part of keeping the family inside of our application, maintaining their renewals. And that's the next part that we'll dive into on the next part of our agenda. I'm going to pause here because I went really, really fast on this recap of what it looks like to have an initial application. I think I see a note. We're still going a little fast. Thank you, team. So I'm going to slow down a little bit. I'll pause here. Anything that you found was like critical that you want me to recap because I went a little too quickly on that? It is a lot of information. I don't want you all to feel overwhelmed by this. We have a lot of opportunities for continued support. We have our office hours. We can make time for some one-on-one training if you're just feeling like, ugh, I really don't understand where to click. Please reach out and we'll give you some one-on-one training. But any questions that I can address before I move into a renewal? We're good. I think Veronica is still in the chat. Let me look over here and get a sense of some faces or.
Yeah, Dorelia, while you're doing that, I just want to point out, I know there have been quite a few questions in the chat that we haven't gotten a chance to respond to yet.
Okay.
So if you've put a question in the chat, we're seeing it. We're trying to respond to them as quickly as we can. A lot of the questions that I'm seeing are really around like our current process, like what our current process and procedure are, and how the portal changes that, or if it's going to change that. And so we'll have time at the end to answer some of those questions. But if we haven't gotten to you yet, it's okay. We're seeing it, and there will be an opportunity for us to talk about some of those, especially, I think there's quite a few questions about contracts.
Mm-hmm. That is a really, really good call out for the team. There are procedure, process questions, and then there's portal information and how to do things inside of the portal. So really great call out. Our chat team can help with anything inside of the portal, but yes, your leadership team are the best for those process and procedure type of questions. All right, I'm doing a quick little scan here, but I'll start getting the screen ready for the renewal section if there's anything else that you want to call out for the team here while I move over to that page. The filter to my cases. All right. Okay, so everyone ready? We're going to move over into renewal applications. So what is a renewal application? What does it mean when your family is sitting in this tab right here in renewal? This means that your family has an active license. They have completed their initial application, and now the next step in their licensure journey is to remain in good standing and renew their license. So once your family is licensed that very first time, and they're doing their renewal every 2 years, you will always find those families in the renewal tab. A family that has been licensed will not go back into applying when they're doing their renewal. They will always live in renewal. So when you're looking at your caseloads and you click on this tab in renewal, these are your already licensed homes. These are the families that you're doing their quarterly check-ins with, that are completing their documentation to remain in good standing and keep an open license with the state. So you'll notice that our original family that we just finished licensing, the Kellers, now live in my renewal tab because we changed their status from applying to approved. So now they're in renewal. And we notice here under this column, their renewal due date is 7/16 of 28. So the tool automatically added when they are due for their renewal with their 2-year license. So 7/16/28 is the renewal. A quick thing that you can do when you receive your caseloads, you're reviewing your data, is you can sort your families by when their renewal date is due. It's one of those things that I highly recommend. So if you have a family that has a renewal coming up over the next weeks, months, you can sort this and it'll prioritize for you who you should start working with and who you can start contacting. Another really helpful tool within the portal that is already enabled for you are automatic reminder drip emails to your families. So when your family is due for a renewal, they will start receiving drip emails asking them to log into their portal, letting them know that they are due for renewal and to start logging in and filling out some of those documentations. Those drip emails start 90 days out. So at 90, at 60, at 30, they're going to receive an automatic reminder to start logging in. You can also send reminders to your families, and you can also send them their welcome email. So let's say the Zimmerman family, I know that they're up for renewal. They were up for renewal in June, so I'm a little behind on my renewal, and I want to get started on getting their record up to date. I can click inside of their family record and I can either send them a reminder email that this is separate from the drip emails. I want to remind them to start to log in and fill out any of the requirements. If your family is new to the portal, which many of your families are going to be at this stage in our launch, you will see the button that says send welcome email. If you are ready to start working on your family's renewal, or you want to do, you're going to start working on one of those quarterly forms, the quarterly visit forms, you can send them the welcome email right before you start with the quarterly forms. And when they log in, they'll have the opportunity to review the forms that have been completed and sign it for you. So this is how you get your families in renewal to access their Binti. It will be a send welcome email. When we launched Binti, we didn't automatically send all of your families in renewal the welcome email because we know a lot of the families don't have immediate action, and we want to make sure that you have the ability to monitor how much work is coming into your plate. If we were to send one big mass welcome email to everyone in renewal, you would have more families reaching out to you. So we left that where you have the control of sending that welcome email to your family so you can start working with them at the adequate time in their renewal journey. So back up to the left navigation here. We know the status of this family is in renewal because we see renewal here. And this is a foster parent portal family. So this family is in the traditional application. This is not a relative family. You would see relative if it were a relative family. We are in the foster parent portal family in renewal. The same applies in terms of their applicant data. So all of the applicant data information lives here. If a family has moved or they have a new phone number, this is where you can edit that. And you saw me do that a little while ago. You can edit phone numbers. It also provides you with some additional information about their license from their initial licensure. This is where we see the license ID, their original date of inquiry when they first reached out, when they first signed their initial application. So as you are getting familiar with some of these cases that are assigned to you, this is a great piece of information to review, so you get a good sense of the family's history with you in the state. Another item that you will see is the application type and the history. This is what I call a family's filing cabinet. I did casework back in the day when I had a filing cabinet and I pulled up the record. This is what we call that. This is where your family's previous records all exist. So let's say you were assigned a family that's already in renewal, but you didn't work with them on the initial and you want to get a sense of what they completed in the past. You can click on the initial application. You can view the applicant data that was submitted when they first did their initial application. Because the portal is new to you all and we're just launching, you will see a lot less information on the initial application, but through the years, you'll start getting a really good digital record of your family, so you're not having to request pools of hard copy records. They will all live in a digital record for you, easy to access here, so you're not mailing boxes, you're not having to call and request a particular hard copy folder. Everything will live in this digital record.
Aurelia,
Yes.
will this also populate to a PDF where you can just look at everything at once?
It will. It'll function exactly the way that I showed you. So if you click on initial application here, I can click on view documents of the initial application. So I'm going to click on view those documents. And it is the exact same page interface that you saw previously. You would click on PDF of documents to view all of those. In this case, I don't have documents because this family was not licensed inside of the tool, so there's not a lot of digital history there. But yeah, it will exist the same way, so you can pull a digital record of everything from that family. Great question. Thank you. All right. Now that I'm in their renewal record, I'm going to click on the documents. You'll notice that these documents look very different than they did in our initial application. And that's because these are the renewal documents. These are just those forms that your family needs to do to maintain in good standing and renew their license. So applicant forms are a lot shorter. In our initial, we had maybe triple the amount of documents. We have 3 documents under applicant forms. And under agency forms is where you can find that quarterly review. So we have 8 quarterly reviews that will cover all of the 8 quarters that you will work with a family while they are licensed with this license timeframe. And to fill out that form, it works exactly the same way. You click on the form itself. A lot of the information that has already been submitted will automatically populate for you. Again, you're not double entering, typing in all of those same things over and over, name, email, address, all those things are already pre-filled for you. So you would just follow the prompts, enter the information, save and continue. As you are typing in information, it's going to be saving it for you. So this is how you fill out the form. You don't need to download and fill it out in a Word document or a PDF document. This is how you fill out your forms, by typing them directly inside of the portal. I know we had that question come up yesterday to our chat team. I think there was a worker concerned about it not saving the information that she was entering. So as you click save and continue, it is saving that information for you. And you'll notice I was able to click directly through the household address. It was all there. If you want to fill out a different section of this document, you can click on different sections within this document to fill that out. So if I am not in a big typing mood and I just want to click some of these easier, faster to answer questions right away, I can go to that section and fill that out as my time permits. I can click save, and I can't finish today, I'm too busy. I can go back to the requirements and I will not lose the work that I already submitted. You'll notice that my pie chart got filled up a little bit more than when I first typed in, and that's because it is tracking how much more I have left to do. I can also click download an incomplete PDF or download an incomplete Word document so I can review what I have already done and track in a document view and just make sure that it is saving everything that I am submitting. So at any point while you're filling out your forms, you can always click on download incomplete PDF to review your work so far. When you are done completing your quarterly review form, it will populate for your family in their own portal so they can see it, review it, sign it for you. So inside of the tool, you can do the entry of the form, the creation of the form itself, and the signing and countersigning of the form. As soon as your family finishes signing it for you, you will see here, it will show signed, it will show complete, a green check mark, and you can view the complete PDF of that. While the circle here is just blue and not a green check mark, that means that it's still missing a signature. The form itself is and everything is filled out. It just needs to be signed. So in some cases where it's sitting in your family's portal, you know you've done the form, it's all ready to go, but it doesn't have a green check mark. It is likely because your family just hasn't signed into their portal and signed it for you. And that's how you would know. If there are any additional requirements for a family to renew their license and you don't see it here, chances are that they live under additional requirements. So this one's really important. I'm gonna refresh here. We're gonna click on add additional requirements if you see a document that is not available that you know you need for your family. So from here, I'm gonna click add additional requirements. This will pop up this little box. And when you click on that down arrow, it will list a series of forms. I don't think that you can see the series of forms in my screen share because it populates in a second form. But just know there are a multitude of forms. There's cooperative agreements. There are amendments. There are notifications of adverse action. So all of those documents that wouldn't apply to every single one of your families, but you will need in specific circumstances, check on the additional requirements. Chances are it will be available there for you if you need it. If at any point you notice that the document isn't part of the applicant forms or it's not under the additional requirements, the first thing to check is that your family is in the right template. So if you're looking for something that applies to a relative family and you don't see it, it's because the family is in the foster parent portal, not the relative portal. If they are in the right portal and you check the additional requirements and it is not there, you can contact the leadership team and we can assess if that is a form that needs to be added to the additional requirements. That is something that the team can always review and ensure that everything that is needed is part of the portal itself. Again, additional requirements is where you'll find a lot of those forms that maybe you don't see right off the bat. The other item that I want to call out here is case notes. So I showed you where to see it under actions, but you can also view them up here in your navigation. So as you are working with a family and you need to add a case note, you can click on case notes up here. You can create a new case note with AI. During our in-person training, we created a home study with the use of AI transcriptions. There is also AI support for creating case notes that will give you a really nice structured case note with a details and overview of the home. If you have a lot of information to write and you think that a transcription will help, you can add that, or you can just click right above that new case note and add the type of case note that you're adding, the date, and then type out your case note. So there's two ways of doing that is your the use of AI transcriptions to transcribe a case note or just manually type in a case note. That's where that lives. I'm going to go back to the applicant data. And every 2 years that your family completes their documents, you're going to follow the same approval process that I demoed for you in the initial application. Every 2 years, your family will need to complete their documents. You will change the application status once they're done with everything from in renewal to ready for review. This is going to create a record of those documents for every 2-year renewal cycle of the family, which will make it so much easier to find documentation for any particular licensure of that family. So really important that we help our families maintain their relicensure up to date and that we are approving inside of the tool. Once you approve the renewal inside of the family portal, it will also be integrated with fax. So then fax will also capture the information that a family has renewed their license and now they are in their new licensing timeframe for the next 2 years. So every 2 years, you're going to follow the same process. We're going to go to ready for review. We're going to update the status. And because I haven't completed any of the information on this family, it's going to give me an error that I can't change the status because I haven't completed the background checks or the documentation. But we can pretend that everything is ready on this family, change the application status, ready for review. Your supervisor will have the ability to review and then change the application status from ready to review to approved. So it's going to be just a repetition of those same steps. Your family completes their forms, you change to ready for review, your supervisor will review and change to approved. When that renewal application is changed to approved from the renewal, they will get a new set of clean, fresh forms ready for their next renewal cycle. So you would see down here in our filing cabinet, you would see the initial application. Above that, you would see the renewal application for the past 2 years, for 2026 to 2028. And then you will see a new application, 2028 to 2030. And those documents will be clean and fresh and ready for them to start submitting all of that information. You will also get a new set of all of your quarterly visit documents. So if you're ever going into a family and renewal and you're looking at their documents and you see that they have already completed documents, the quarterly reviews are already completed, it is likely that this family just hasn't been changed status. So really important that we change the application status when that family renews their license so that we can close out all of the documents for that 2-year period and provide them with the new documents for their new 2-year period. I'm going to pause there because this is new information that we didn't get to cover in part 1 and see if there are any call outs, questions. I do see a hand up from Jill.
What
Jill?
happens if you're not the perfect worker and all the quarterlies aren't done?
I think that's a leadership question. Abigail or Lauren?
Yeah, that's actually a great question because there may be times, like if you noticed, Aurelia, if you could scroll down just a little bit, in the agency forms where you see the quarterly visits, you'll notice that there's not an option to waive it. So if you haven't completed it, you can't waive it because it's a requirement. That's also going to be true for your fingerprint, like your fingerprint results. Like you can't waive fingerprint results. You have to enter them. So if you have a special circumstance where you have somebody in the home who is bedridden and you've gone through Abigail and there's been some kind of exception or approval, you can't waive it. You still have to upload something. And so for auditing purposes, if you have not completed a CD 118 when you are required to, there's going to need to be some kind of approval or review from your supervisor or chain of command. And what you will do is you will upload a document that explains that. So it might look like something like a letter on letterhead that has been signed, reviewed and signed by your supervisor saying why that 118 wasn't completed. But you'll have to upload something. Yeah, oh, that's great. Thanks for doing that. So as you can see, She just added something that explains what that upload is, and it shows it could be an approval letter, but it shows the status as completed.
Thank you, Lauren. And that's also going to apply, great question, Jill, because that upload approval is also going to apply to some of these additional supporting documents that your family may not have access to, but does not have the ability to waive. This came up in our part 1 training where we talked about maybe a family lost their divorce decree. Maybe their divorce happened 20 years ago. They have no idea where their document may be or their marriage certificate. You can always email your supervisor, let them know what the situation is, why they don't have it, why it needs to be waived, or why it's not available. And you can upload that email with your supervisor on approval instead of having them complete and asking them to go on a big hunt of all of their boxes in their attic to find that particular document. There are some circumstances where that may happen. So we do offer that ability to upload the conversation and approval with your supervisor for that.
This is Melissa.
Yes.
Connor. So is that going to be the same kind of a situation when we have an adult in the household that does not have a driver's license or they don't have vehicle registration? We just need to upload something that says this is the circumstances.
I will leave that for Abigail and Lauren to answer, just to make sure I'm not giving incorrect leadership information.
Yeah, I know some of those things that Dorelia has right there, like pet vaccination, you can see you can waive that. I believe there's a couple other things on those items that we view that you can waive. I just sent an email out this morning about the auto insurance and the home insurance because we thought we had kind of talked about that at some point before we went live, but that was not in our live version. So we are looking at updating that piece as well, Melissa.
Abigail, you mean to be waived or waivable?
Yes, sorry if I misspoke there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We were just wondering because I know that we have a couple of homes that we've already specifically been talking about, that there are people in those homes that are 18 or older and still don't have driver's licenses. So we don't have those things to upload, and they don't have a vehicle that they drive. So we don't have the car registration. So those were things that had specifically come up. So I just wanted to ask if that was the same situation. Thank you for answering.
Yes. And thank you for asking those questions. As you see, because we got a few questions about auto insurance and auto registration from our chat team, we were able to take that to your leadership team. They quickly assessed it, and we can make some really quick changes. So if you're running into things like that, don't hesitate to ask. This is week 1 of this portal going live, and we are going to continue to make it easier for you to navigate and catch some of those things that maybe we thought we had talked about. But as you can see, there's a lot of items that go into putting together a template for all of the different cases. So there may be some things that can be reconsidered and updated quickly within this first initial time frame of the launch. I think a lot of us are maybe feeling a little bit of unsure. And if you're feeling like, what is that? The little deer with your legs, they're just a little wobbly right now. You're clicking and you're like unsure of where to click. That is totally normal. You're in a completely new tool. Your team is reviewing everything. We are talking to our chat team. So if you're just feeling a little shaky and not quite sure where to click, know that that is okay. You're going to be clicking around and navigating this a lot more over the next few weeks. And you will notice how quickly your clicking becomes a little more steady. Your navigation becomes a little more steady. So you're going to feel a little unsure right now, and that is normal. That is okay. Change is not easy. Technology is not easy. And one thing that Lauren shared in the very beginning is technology is not going to solve everything. It's not going to solve for the 18-year-old that doesn't have a driver's license yet. How do we work around that and identify what kind of ID this 18-year-old may have that we can use as part of their licensure? So we see it in black and white. We see that it's asking for an ID, but have conversations with your leadership team, have conversations with those around you, so we can identify what other options there are to help remove that block, that barrier for you. Nothing within the licensing process should make you come into a complete halt where you have nowhere to go. Everything should be resolved. So if you come to a situation where you're reviewing a record, or maybe you think that everything is ready and you're just coming up to a wall where you have no workaround, there is no way to waive, there is nothing you can upload, please raise those questions to us so we can make sure we address them for you. All right, any additional questions? Anything that you want me to review here in terms of a renewal application? Are we feeling okay with that? With every 2 years, we're going to follow approval, ready for review, and we're going to create a new folder for your family every 2 years, so we keep everything properly documented within their license timeframe. All right, lots of questions coming in the chat. I'm going to give the leadership team and Veronica some time to answer those. If any of those questions remain pending, we're going to address them. We'll keep them. We have your information here. So if we can't get to anything, just know your questions will be answered. We'll make sure that we copy those and get those to you. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to caregiver applications, back to my dashboard. And this is one action that you will find yourself doing a lot. You're going to go from caregivers to caregiver applications into a family record, and then back up to your caregiver applications multiple times while you're in the tool. Another really helpful tool is if you've been clicking around, you are in maybe a page that you don't really know how you got there, but you want to just get back and start from the beginning, you can always click on the Binti heart on the top left corner, and that will bring you back to your home page. Sometimes we just need a little grounding. We need to get grounded back into the starting page when we are clicking around in so many pages and you just feel a little lost. In your view, this is going to be a blue Binti heart. Because that is the real production environment. Right now I'm in demo, so it looks orange for me. But just know that if you ever click on the Binti blue logo, it's going to bring you home. You'll be back in your landing page, and this is where you can click on your initial families, your renewal families, or you can just go back to caregiver applications. And that will give you the view of all of the families inside of the dashboard. Those are two ways to get yourself just back to home if you're feeling a little lost inside of an application profile. All right, little breath. We have about half an hour left. Thank you all for all of your wonderful questions. I feel everyone is super engaged. I appreciate it. It's always interesting having a virtual training after being in person with you. I much prefer seeing all of your faces and laughing with you, and maybe we can do one of those soon. All right, so back when we are in caregiver applications, I want to talk a little bit more about transferring templates and status changes. When you're new to the tool, those two things may seem a little bit confusing. What is the difference between transferring and changing the status on an application? When you hear the terminology of transferring an application, currently between now and October, when we talk about transferring an application, we are talking about changing the type of license application your family is completing. So let's say you have a family that is seeking a traditional licensure. Let's click on one of our families in recruiting here. They may be a traditional family, but then something happens in their situation and their circumstance. Sorry, this is a relative family. Something happens in their circumstance and they decide that they cannot continue with the traditional licensure process, and they are open to being a respite family. We don't want to close everything out for the family. One very simple thing you can do is transfer. So we're going to transfer them from a traditional, and again, I clicked on another relative and that's okay. Let's just pretend this is just a traditional family wants to go to respite. We can click on transfer application because we want to transfer all of the documents that they are currently completing and just give them their packet for maybe just a respite instead. So we would click on change application template. And when I click this down arrow, again, you won't see it in my screen share because it is a little bit of a pop-up, but you'll see the 4 different types of paths that your family can take. And one of those paths is respite. So I would click on respite portal and you'll see it populate here. And I will click submit. That will allow me to quickly transfer an application of a family from giving them all of the requirements to be a traditional family and offer them the opportunity to go through the respite approval process. That way we are maintaining contact with our families. They may not be ready, but they can still provide some respite support for you. So now you'll notice that up on the left corner, we have respite portal and this family is in the recruiting status. We notice that the applicant forms are greatly reduced from what we saw in a traditional family to respite family. That is what you do when you want to transfer an application. This currently will give you the ability to change them from the type of licensure that they are completing, the type of requirements that they are seeing in their portal. As soon as you transfer the application, when your family logs in on their end, their family portal, they will see all of those requirements be updated to the new requirements that they need to complete. Anything that they had previously completed. So let's say your family had already completed a series of documents that were part of a traditional application. All of those documents will now be saved under other miscellaneous documents. So when you transfer an application and a family has already completed some of those forms, we will keep a record of those for you. You won't lose them. That work will be saved under other miscellaneous documents. So let's say they change their mind a few months from now and decide that it's time. Everything that they completed is already there. So you can then upload them and have them apply to their new application. Nothing will be
Hey,
lost.
Dorelia.
Yes.
I wanted to make sure, and maybe Veronica may know too. I know that we did some testing on transferring applications, and it worked a little bit different than what you just showed. However, I do know you're in the recruiting phase, and we didn't test that. We tested it in a different phase. So I did just want to clarify either one, does that work differently than how we had to test it now? And two, or should we just kind of let it be known that in other phases this looks differently for transferring applications?
Veronica, I'm not sure if you have any comments about that, but what I will call out is that when a family is in recruiting, they haven't been created in FACS yet. That the integration isn't live until they're in applying. So when the family is in recruiting, they can transfer application, and it's not going to impact that integration. Once the family is in applying, then now it has integration factors to consider, and that's where we are creating that 1-page document so that workers know how to process a transfer application if they are already in the applying status and there's already a FACS profile for them.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Veronica, did you have anything else to add to that, or we're good?
Nope, I think you've got it. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you. Come October, this transfer application button will take on a whole other meaning, which will now allow you to also transfer applications between the state and private agencies. We are going to have all kinds of training when that happens, when our private agencies come into the portal as well. But just know that there will be a much easier way to transfer applications between the state and a private agency that will allow us to much easier send the files to a partner agency. So when that happens, this transfer application button that you see here, right now it just says transfer the application template. Come October, it will also show you another box that will allow you to transfer from agency to agency or from state to agency. So we'll go into depth a little bit more when the time comes, but transfer application will allow you 2 different functionalities soon. And there will be plenty of comms about that when the time comes. So don't worry about that yet. Just know transfer application now means that a family is seeking a different type of licensure that then may be started with. When we talk about status changes, we're talking about where your family is in their licensure journey. So a status change will be a family that is in recruiting status. I'm going to go back to my dashboard because visually you can see statuses in your dashboard. We're talking about a family that's in recruiting. This is a new family that is just starting their licensure journey. They're starting as a family in recruiting. And once they fill out their application and they are ready to be in the applying status, a DVN has been issued. And again, we'll recap this. We went into very much in depth in part 1 of the training. But when a family is in recruiting, they will live in recruiting until their application is complete. And pop quiz, does anybody remember the other really important thing that needs to be completed before a family is considered applying? Anybody? You can come off mute. Pop quiz. Yay, Brandy, fingerprints. Yes, fingerprints, background checks. Oh, that makes my heart happy. You remember some of the part 1 training. Thank you all. So yes, those 2 really critical things. A family will remain in recruiting status until their application is complete and fingerprints are all complete. Once all of that is complete, then a family you can change your family status from recruiting to applying. And I did not show this, checking time, we have time. I didn't show this to you all because we covered in part 1, but we have a few minutes. So when your family, you go into the documents, you confirm that, oh, I'm in a relative again, but you confirm that the application is there, fingerprints are there, and this only applies to your traditional family. So let me move out of Daisy, that's a relative family. I keep opening our relative families here. Let me see. Raise the feature. Okay, there we go. Here's a foster parent family. You check their documents. Fingerprints are complete. And does anybody remember where? Background checks. Yay, background checks. So here are all of the background checks. We completed all of them. Somebody asked for fingerprints. Yep. We confirmed they're all here. They're all complete. We look at their application. It's been reviewed and it is complete. Now we are ready to change the application status from recruiting to applying. That is a status change. We are changing their status from recruiting to applying, update status. And now your application status will show up in applying. The other critical thing that this triggers is an email to your family that says, hey, you are ready to continue your application and here is your passcode. Hope you all remember that part as well. Your family will receive an email with a passcode that allows them to move to the application documents now so they can continue their journey. We don't want a family to start doing all of their documentation if we are not 100% sure that they're going to pass all of their background checks. We want to save their time and be mindful of the effort it takes to complete all this documentation. So we pause them in the portal. We make sure that they don't continue until their application and their fingerprints are complete. They will receive that passcode. They will enter it in their portal, and then they will be free to start continuing their journey of all of the other forms that need to be completed. So that is a status change. And if we go back to our caregiver, we're going to look for Parker. We're going to go to caregiver applications, and you will see that Parker will now live under applying when previously they were in recruiting. Everybody that you see in applying in your status, this is a family that has their completed background checks and has a completed application. We will not move them until all of that is complete. Okay, we see there's some questions about contract agencies. We'll make sure that we cover that with you. We'll save those questions and cover those with you at a different training. All right. Now, another status change is from applying to ready for review. So those of you who are supervisors, there is no ready for review status in the dashboard. Let's say you got the email, but now you can't find that record in a status bar up here. And that is because ready for review lives within the applying status of a family. So a quick way to find a family that you know is ready for review is to search by their name, or you can click Add Filter and look for family status ready for review. Those are two ways that you can find it. Current status right here, current status ready for review, and filter. I am in a demo environment, so there's only one family here that is ready for review. But if you are a licensing worker and you want to just see how many of your families are ready for review, and maybe you want to ask your supervisor where the status is, this is where you can see it. Your family will still show under the applying status. If you click on their name, though, you will notice their status says ready for review. So if you have been working with a family, you completed everything, you sent it for review, this is how you can confirm if they are still in ready for review. Those are status changes. So two very different things, transfer application and status changes. I'm going to pause here for a quick second and just make sure everyone feels pretty confident in status changes and ready for reviews. We feeling good there? Good. Okay. I think there's questions of other topics. We'll make sure we get to those. All right. Final part. Thank you all. The final piece are the other helpful features. I just saw a chat pop up. Thank you. Thank you, Anita, for the feedback. The last feature that we want to show you are holds. Holds are going to happen. We have some holds here where a family maybe it cannot continue either with a placement of a home. There's something happening in their home and you want to hold this application. Holds live under actions. Remember, holds live under actions and placement preferences live under actions. So under actions, you would click add hold. We're going to click on add hold, and it's going to walk you through the information here as well. So you would enter the date that the hold was requested and then select from the drop down, which you may not see the full drop down here in my screen share, but there are multiple reasons for holds. This can be an internal hold, like a licensing concern, or it could be a family hold where maybe they had a new birth in the family or they just need a little break. Those are that you have both options, either internal holds that need to happen because there's an investigation or a licensing concern, or a family requested hold. For here, we're just going to say we need a little break. We've been fostering multiple children. We just want to pause for a little bit. So I'm going to click need a break and hold details. Family requested a 3-month hold between placements. And this is a voluntary hold for the family. And in 3 months, let's say the hold will end on October 12th, and we're going to create the placement hold. This is something we didn't cover in part 1, and we've already gotten some questions into our support team. Again, it is part of the actions menu. Holds are in that section. And thank you to those of you who asked about that, because that's why we added it to the training today. So now let's say we have you want to review those holds. You can click on your dashboard and you'll notice there is a big very, very clear indicator of your family that has holds. So it's really easy for anyone, if you get contacted by maybe your placements teams and they're looking for any options for a hold, you know that you're not going to recommend a family because you can quickly assess if they need a hold.
Where was that actions button? I'm in one of my families and I don't see an actions button.
Yes, great question. Thank you for asking that, because it is not as easy to find as your actions menu inside of the file. So I am assuming that you might have your applicant data page open. You might be seeing this data page and you're looking for it here. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So what you'll do is in this page, you'll click Show in Dashboard, and it'll give you the dashboard view, because that actions button is only in your dashboard view. So if you go to the dashboard and you go all the way to the right side of your screen, it's the last column. You hover over actions and it is down here under add hold. And this is the exact same way that you're going to add that placement information. So those are those two little action items that you're going to access that are not part of the main applicant data page. We know that it's not as easy to find, so we have this in one of our backlogs. We're going to see if we can find a easier navigation for you. But for now, it has to be in the actual flow of the dashboard to find that. Right here, actions, add a hold. And once you click on that, it'll give you the hold information. Another way to access that is by just opening the dashboard. So you can click on caregivers, caregiver applications. That's going to open the dashboard for us. This is going to show us all of the families. So if you have a small caseload, go to my cases here. And I have Monica Geller. I'm going to add a hold for Monica. She is filming for the next 3 months. Maybe she got a new movie deal, so we're going to add a hold. And this is, she needs a break or other. She is too busy filming, so voluntarily hold.
Can you go back like 2 steps, because my screens aren't switching as quick as yours. When you went into caregiver, and I don't have an actions button there. After agency forms, mine says days since app signed. I don't have an actions button up there.
Up here in your applicant data, you won't see an actions button. What you need to click on is show dashboard. And depending on how large or small your screen is on your laptop, these buttons will look a little different than they do on my screen. But look for show in dashboard right after training logs. Show in dashboard is what you want to click. Do you see the show in dashboard up here on the top menu?
Yeah, I guess I just missed that step when you were going through it. I didn't see you click to that from the caregiver apps.
Yes, sorry, my screen probably refreshed a little faster. But yes, if you are inside of the families file, you want to find the show in dashboard, because that actions menu you can only see from the dashboard view, not from your applicant data view. So again, you're gonna click on, if we're inside of the family record, we want to show in dashboard. And from that dashboard view, then our last column is actions. In actions, you have your add hold, and you also have your placement information. Those are the two that you will probably use more regularly. The placement information is what I covered under the initial application, where you update caregiver preferences. So it's really important that we all feel really comfortable navigating to that and finding it. It is not as simple to find as your actions menu, so we want to make sure that you all know how to get there. So that's the placement, caregiver preferences, and also where you add a hold. So, and there's 2 ways to get into the dashboard view. If you're already
Yeah.
in the family's record, you click view dashboard or caregiver applications, and then there's your dashboard view there.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to point out that it's the same thing. It's
Mhm.
just two different ways to get to it. Most people, I imagine, you're going to be in your caregiver applications dashboard right here, and you're going to see those actions. It's only when you click into a family's file that you have to go to show in dashboard to go back and see that actions tab.
Yes, thank you for calling that out, Lauren. Yes, it is the exact same page. It just, if you are already in the file, it's going to only show you the dashboard of that family. If you're not in the file, then you see all of the families, but you'll notice here is Monica Geller. Here's my actions menu for Monica. It's the exact same view, just not filtered down. Right. Okay, we have 15 minutes. I promised that I would leave some additional time. I feel like we have covered everything that I intended to cover in our agenda, probably because I was talking really fast in that first half, and my apologies. I wanted to make sure we got through a good recap for you. Again, if you feel like that part one training, the foundational training of navigating an initial application, it's still not really resonating with you, please feel free to self identify. There's absolutely zero judgment here. We know technology is not easy, change is not easy. I don't like to change things, and I'm in the tool all the time. So don't feel like you're falling behind. We are here to support you. If you need some additional and you think one-on-one time will be helpful, that would be, we are always available for that as well. I will be in your what is it, your Jeff City office next week. And I will be arriving a little bit early next week. I haven't shared this with Lauren and Abigail. Sorry for surprising you. I'm actually flying in a little bit early next week. So maybe we can set up some time in the Jeff City office. If there are any of you that are in Jeff City, I'm happy to spend some one-on-one time with you. But know that virtually, I am always available. We can schedule additional time. So I'm going to share one more page. I'm going to go back into my slideshow here and give you really important dates in terms of additional support that is available for you all. Here, this is the same slide we shared before. We had our go live July 14th. We have optional office hours where we are available for you to come ask your questions. We already did one July 15th. Our next one is July 20th and July the 24th. If you want to take a screen capture of this, there are also calendar invites that have already gone out, so you should see them in your calendar. This is a come and go. When we say office hours, this means it's a come and go. You hop in during that hour, ask your questions, and you can hop out. You can also hop in if you don't have any questions. It's a really good opportunity to learn from other people's questions. So feel free to join us anytime. So these are additional support. We'll have a much longer 1 month post live special session, August 13th, where we'll spend more time and have another big refresher training. And then we will have the private agencies go live in October, which will add a lot of other information and training and comps for you all.
Can I clarify something?
Yes, you
Real
can.
quick. Abigail, I actually don't know that a calendar invite was actually sent for the office hours. I thought it was just sent out as a flyer to the contractors, and then it's listed in the upcoming events on the internet page. Can you confirm that? Did we?
Yeah, it wasn't sent out as a calendar invite, but it was sent out a couple different times in that email. It gave the links for those office hours.
Yeah, so for children's division, I was going to show you if I can, if you're with children's division, am I sharing my screen?
Yeah, now you are.
Okay, can you see my intranet?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, sorry, it looks funny on my end. For children's division, here's your intranet page. It's just right here. You can come to this upcoming events and it's right here. and you can click on it on the days that you're able to attend. I highly recommend that. Contractors, you should have got several emails and a flyer that will allow that has the link to let you connect. But if you haven't gotten it, would you let us know? And we can share that out again. Thank you. And I did have one thing that I wanted to talk about before we're done. There's at least one topic that I think needs some discussion, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I saw several questions in the chat around contracts. And I would really like to talk about that more, but I want to ask if there is a brave soul who will come off of mute and please ask your question about the contracts and explain why you're asking that so that you can help your peers who may also have the same question or may not know that they have that question yet. So if we could have somebody who has the question about contracts and when you do it, I would greatly appreciate it. Jill, looks like you got your hand up.
So to get all the greens you need to go from applying to ready to view, you have to put a contract in there. So I've been uploading unapproved contract. I don't know what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, great question. So thank you, Jill. Next time I see you in person, I'm bringing you candy for being brave and coming off. You're absolutely right. In order to get a green check mark, oh, Lauren, you have your hand up too. Was there something you wanted to add to that?
No, just go ahead with that and then I can ask my second question.
Yeah, okay. So in order to get all the green check marks that you need to enter your license approval, you have to have the contract completed. And this probably feels really weird to people because historically we have completed everything, home study, everything, and we have entered the license into FACES. And we had our begin date, and then we created a contract. And a lot of times people were signing those contracts with family at that first 30-day visit, and then they send it over to contract management. And the reason that procedure has happened over time and why that has become our norm is because our contract management team will not enter a contract into FACES for a family unless they have that license approved in FACES, right? That's why that procedure happens the way that it does, and we've kind of fallen into line, and now we have a process. The foster parent portal is your vendor file, right? Like it is your vendor file and the way that you can communicate and share documents with the family. So this is going to feel different from what you're used to. So you can do all of your licensing requirements, you can do your home study, you can be ready to license the family, have your home study signature dates, and know when that contract begin date is supposed to be, and you can create the contract in the portal and send it to the family for their signature. You don't have to wait until after you license them because it's really just your way to communicate with the family and get their signature on that form. And once that's done, you can approve the license, and then you can send your signed contract to contract management afterwards. You can download a PDF right from the portal to send in an email to contract management. So that probably does feel weird or out of place because we're used to doing everything and getting the license entered before having families sign the contracts. I mean, sometimes on rare occasions people might do it before, but most people were waiting because that's just the way that we processed things. So that might feel a little weird, but remember the portal is just your physical file. It's the way you communicate with the family. There's nothing wrong with creating the contract, sending it to them, and getting their signature. It's probably going to be the very last thing that you do because you want to have your home study signatures so that you know what the begin date's going to be. But that is it. So are there more questions about that? Yes, Frankie.
My question isn't about the contracts, it's about something else. So I'll wait till you're
Oh,
done with
okay.
that part.
That's okay.
So
Who,
my
Lauren, was it you
question,
that had? Okay.
yeah, so when you're on the contract and you click on that little hyperlink and it takes you and it lets you click through each person, is that auto prompting a message to them to sign that contract?
I'm going to defer to Veronica, but I think that the answer is go ahead.
Sorry,
Dorelia,
coming off
Veronica.
mute. Yes, if that is going, yes. So if you finish that on your side and then it is prompted for the family to sign, they will have that in their portal saying agency forms awaiting your signature. And that will pop up for the family and they'll get the same signing process that you will.
So will
And
they
you'll see
get
on
an
your side that it's pending the family.
Will they get an email or will they just get, like when they log into their portal, there's going to be a notification, hey, this needs to be signed?
Yeah, they'll get that notification directly in the portal. But we have a couple of things that have come up in chat today for some additional notifications that we can explore with our team if we can get some of those added.
And guys, this is Vicky with Family Forward. We're talking about CD people at this point, not contractors with F
No.
cars.
No.
Okay.
And Veronica, can you elaborate when you said that we can see that the like it's waiting on the family? So like I have one right now that I think that I sent. I don't know, but it just is like the little blue circle that's
Then you
filled in
sent it.
blue. Does that mean that that I'm waiting on them to do it?
Yep,
Yep.
exactly. And if you, it should be, I want to make sure I would like double check the exact family, but it will often give you like in a little italics underneath, like waiting for family signature. But that blue, when it's fully complete, means that it's 100% done on your side, but getting finalized. And then you get that green check mark.
Okay, I don't have like the little italics underneath it. I just have the blue circle.
Okay, can you just do me a favor real quick? Because I just want to check one thing. Would you give me the DVN for that family?
Yes.
I just want to make sure we're looking at the exact same thing before I say anything out of turn.
Okay. Give me just a second. You want me to just put it in the chat?
Yeah, exactly. Just not the family name. The DVN is fine.
Yeah. So while they're doing that and confirming, again, the portal is your tool. It's your family file. You created the contract. You wrote the contract. It pulled all the information for you, and then you make it available for the family, and they can go in on their side and sign it, and then you have a copy of your signed contract that's ready. Once your supervisor approves everything and the family is licensed, then you can pull that contract, send it to contract management, and you're good to go. Anita or Brandy, do you have questions about the contract, or do you have new questions?
I just wanted to say, so yesterday I had a problem with the whole contract thing I had a contract that was already signed and dated from the family. So I just uploaded the contract that was not signed by state office. And then when I got it back from state office signed, I deleted the old one that I uploaded and then just uploaded the new one. So there is a way you can delete documents and then go back in and upload a new one. That's all I wanted to say.
No, I'm so glad that you shared that. I hadn't got there yet. You knew where I was going. Thank you. So yeah, so when you get your signed contract back from contract management like you do, you can go in and you can add it so that the final signed one is in there. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Other questions about the contracts?
I do want to note that if you don't delete the original one that's not signed, it'll move to other previous documents. It won't pop up as like the current. Your current one will be the one that you upload that's signed. So it's okay to delete it, but if you want to keep like the unsigned one just for whatever reason, you can upload another copy and it'll take the place as the final one. So when you click that view PDF documents, it's only going to show the most recent uploaded one that was signed. It's not going to show the previous versions of it.
Okay. It's a tool to help you so that you don't have to drive to somebody's house after you've already spent many visits with them, interviewing them and completing your safety checklist. You don't need to drive to their house or put something in the mail to them to have them sign their contract. You can just create it in the portal when you're done with everything else and you're ready to do it. And it will go to the family, they will sign it, and then you'll have it ready once your supervisor approves and the family's licensed. You download PDF that they signed and you send it to DFAS. You could even do it before then if you wanted it, if you just wanted to wait once they sign it, but yeah. So that probably is one of the bigger changes that feels really odd because we've just done it that way for so long. But we did it that way because that's how our pipes were set up to get the contract to DFAS. So other questions? I think there were, Frankie, did you have another question?
Well, my question is, from the time we had to stop entering in faces until this went live, I just got back. I was gone all week and I just got back yesterday. So I had two families, one relative, one traditional, one relative, one traditional, that got me all their paperwork. So I'm working on their assessments today and tomorrow. So they have nothing in Binti yet because I didn't have anything to enter in faces yet because I wasn't allowed to enter in faces. So what do I do with those families? Do I just continue them or do I have to now put everything they got me in Binti and finish it in Binti?
Yeah, I'm a little confused. Did they have an application in Faces?
What the traditional did, or I mean the relative did, yeah.
Yeah. So they're in your portal. You can see them in the portal.
Yes, I can see the relative in my portal.
Okay. And so they were in the licensing process and now they're ready to be licensed and you have everything in physical form.
The assessment's not written because they just
okay.
got me all of the physical paperwork. Or at least the majority of it. So I kind like them turning in paperwork fell in that limbo area of where I couldn't put it in Faces or Binti.
Absolutely. Okay. Now I think I understand. And Abigail, I'm going to lean on you because I know you you know this better than I do. You have you have some options. The memo that we linked in the chat gives specific instructions for these families. There's one paragraph that might be really helpful as a reference after this call in case you need it. But for the call, you have some options. For things that are required, you can upload the physical form, right? Like you can go into your portal, you can upload the physical form. If it's not required and it's waivable, you can, if you don't want to go through the process of uploading it, you can waive it. And when you waive it, say it's in the physical file, but then you can't get rid of your physical file. You got to keep it forever. Or you can choose to upload it and then shred it. That's up to you, but you have to have it somewhere. It either has to be in a physical file and referenced in the steps that you complete in the portal, or you can upload it directly to the portal. Those are your options, but they will have to be completed before you're able to move that family over to licensed.
So
Hey,
basically,
Lauren, sorry, Frankie. I have been giving a lot of direction regarding that specific thing with like, files that came in during the freeze. And so I've been telling people just to upload those documents and not waiving them unless it's a waivable option in the portal. So just FYI, everyone else I told.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, that's what I meant. If there's a wave button, I mean, you could do that. Most of the people that I've talked to have decided they just want to upload everything. They want everything in the portal because they don't want to have to reference a physical file. So if they've got stuff they have just received, they're just going ahead and adding it to the portal and going through the process. But Frankie, if you want some more specific, like case specific help, reach out to Abigail and let's get a WebEx on the
Okay.
calendar and we can help walk you through that. Or you can
Well,
come
it
to the
kind of
office
sounds like
hours.
I just need to treat it as if they turn the documents in today, like basically, so that I can just upload everything and go from new, because it's going to have to be in there regardless.
Yes, and if you don't have a home study yet, yes, I would suggest you work that as like a family in the portal, being licensed in the portal, and upload
Right.
those documents like you got them today. You can, if
Yep.
there's certain dates on them, you can backdate them to the date they filled it out, but I would just upload the documents as you have them.
Okay. If I
And
run
this is,
into any problems trying to do it, I'll get with you.
yeah, yeah. And if you come to the office hours, we go over case specific questions and we don't have some of the restrictions we do like in this training. So if you come to one of those office hours, you'll get specific help. And if you can't make it to one, reach out to Abigail and we'll get something on the calendar.
Thank you, ladies.
Somebody asked, are we completely done uploading into OnBase? Yes, this is your file
No,
now. Oh, sorry,
there.
Abigail. Except for the audit. Except for the audit. Sorry, Abigail, go ahead. You're right.
That's
Take
all I
over.
was going to say, unless I've emailed you about the audit. It's because I've been emailing even today people like, hey, get this in on base. And they've been
I think
saying, well, can we
Anita.
just do it in the portal? I said, that's
No.
fine, but your whole file would have to be re-uploaded into the portal. So I would just recommend doing
Yeah.
the on base if it's for the audit at this point.
Okay. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Abigail. I didn't mean to give you a panic. But yeah, so that's a totally separate issue. The audit is our federal audit. You don't have a choice. Like it has to be an on base. So if you got pulled for an audit, and you've gotten an email from Abigail, you got to upload to OnBase. But for the purpose of foster care licensing, audit aside, moving forward from now on, the portal is your physical file. Like that is your file. You no longer have to keep a paper file. So your vendor file is in the portal. That's where all your documents go. Everything goes in there.
I do have one more question. When all my names pull up, I had just right before I left and printed out my assignment report from Faces to make sure nothing was open that shouldn't have been or anything like that. But now in Binti, I'm having homes show up that I closed or withdrew applications like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that are showing up in my Binti list. Why is that and how do I get rid of them? Because they weren't on
Yeah.
my Faces assignment list, so they were withdrawn or closed in Faces. So I'm not sure why they're showing up.
Yeah, so if you have any families like that, I would encourage you to look at Faces really closely. We have had some of those brought to our attention, and what we have found is that there was a data entry error in Faces that might not even be related to you. It might be related to a previous caseworker who left something open in Faces and it was in their name. But because the most current stuff was assigned to you, it's pulling over in your name. So I would really, if you have a family assigned to you in the portal that you thought was closed or shouldn't be assigned to you, you need to go back to Faces. And you need to really closely inspect the screens because there was likely an entry error. And if there was an entry error, you just close them down in the portal. If there's really something wrong and you're like, I can't find any errors, I can't find an old application that got left open or something in somebody else's name, I can't figure out why, I would ask that you maybe share that with Abigail and myself just so that we can follow up with our Binti team and make sure there's not a problem. But the ones that have been brought to our attention so far, almost all of them, we can find an error in Faces that caused that. It's the import isn't perfect. It's as good as the information that's in the system, and sometimes it's not even associated to your name, so you may not have been aware of it.
But if I do find an error, I just go in and close it through Binti, or do I have to notify you guys? Because it won't pull over from Faces now, right? If I
No,
correct
so
the error, it's not going to disappear.
if you have a family in the portal that's supposed to be closed, you can close them in the portal and it's not going to cause a problem in Faces. if that's what you're asking. I would encourage you to send an email to Abigail and myself with the DVNs that you have so that we can take a look at them, or come to the office hours and we can look at case specific situations.
Okay, I'm going to make a list and check them out, and then I'll update you guys in an email.
Thank you. Shawnee? I think you're next. Shawnee
Yeah,
Dansby?
I may, I've had to step away a couple of times, so this question may have already been asked, and if it has, just I'll listen to the recording and save you guys time. But when it comes to the fingerprints, do we still use our fingerprint letter, and would we put that in the fingerprint appointment authorization space, or is there something else that's supposed to go there?
I'm going to ask Abigail to answer this question because she is the subject matter expert on the fingerprint forms.
Thank you.
Yeah, Shawnee, great question. Actually, that was one thing I wanted to mention before we hopped off. It's very important that you guys complete the CD26A on your side of things in the portal, because that CD26A, just like if you were handing the form to them, they can't register for fingerprints without the CD26A. So the CD26A starts on your side and then it goes to them once you complete that form. And then you will notice that that form looks different. So you guys have to be very mindful of the code that you're providing them when you're filling out that form, which is also in the portal. So then they get the CD26A on their side and register. Then on their side, they have a fingerprint appointment, quote unquote, form that they complete, which then shows on your end when the date that they registered to do their fingerprints. And then eventually you will still have to go into Mox to find their actual fingerprints.
That's great. So for the ones that we've just gotten done with their fingerprints and used the other form that's not been updated, can we just upload that to that spot? Like,
yeah,
they've already
that's
gone.
fine.
So that way we have a letter showing that it wasn't just a number put in or a date just put in. Okay.
Yep.
And then let me make sure, there was one other one I thought. No, I think you guys already talked about the homeowner's insurance and all that good stuff, right? I think I heard a glimpse of that. So I'll just listen to the recording. I had to step away. Thanks.
Abigail, I think there was a question about relatives and if they get a different form, or if this is the same process for relatives. Could you talk to that?
Yeah, so the CD26A is used for every provider now, with the exception of bio parents. I think that's the only exception off the top of my head. So the CD26, there's not a CD26E, F, C, or whatever. It's just the CD26A.
XYZ. Yeah,
yes.
No more.
Yep, it's just the A. And like I said, you need to pay attention to the code, because one code is for if you did a purpose code X on relatives, and one code is for if it's just a inquiry, a foster parent wanted to become a licensed foster parent. Those are different codes. So just be paying attention to the code that you're giving them.
Yeah, there's been and I want to clarify, there's been no changes to the codes. It's still the same codes that you've always used. You just had to put them on different forms. Now you use the same codes. You just put them on one form. We just don't have lots of different forms floating around. Bobby Jean?
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
When we have, like when our investigators do a removal and they're putting the kids with a relative, they give a relative packet to the relative, and it has the fingerprint letter in it with the emergency fingerprint code to use. Do they no longer do that, and they just do the purpose code X, and then we, the licensing unit, give them the other letter, or how does that work?
Yeah, so that process looks very different from county to county, agency to agency across the state. In some areas, investigators or case managers have a packet that they give to those relatives at initial placement in an unlicensed home that includes some licensing forms. Many of those forms are probably now outdated and they look different because we made changes to them for the purpose of implementing the portal. So you're really going to have to work with your local investigators and case managers to look through what are they giving people, what are the packets that you've decided locally, because that's a local decision, that's not a policy requirement. That's a process that we've created over time to try and get information to families as quickly as possible. And you're probably going to have to make some changes to that, right? You're going to need to talk about the new portal, talk about the process. There might be some things that you still want them to get, but like the fingerprint letter, especially if a family doesn't have access to internet right away, or you're not going to be able to get out and see them right away. But you're going to want to make sure that those packets are updated. I would strongly encourage you not to print everything from the portal and give it to families as a packet. If it's something like the Purpose Code X fingerprint letter, I can understand that, which is now the 26A. But anything else, I would strongly encourage you to make sure that you're talking with your investigators and your case managers, and they know that once they add that DV in an application to FACES, that you're going to be intaking that family into the portal and they're going to have access to everything online, and that you'll be working with that family to get them connected to that information. We are working with Joanna. We have a relative pilot that's happening up in the Northwest in Kansas City. And we are working with Joanna Sampalo. She's our relative PDS. To maybe create like a flyer to give relatives at the time of placement so that they understand what the portal is and that somebody's going to be contacting them and that they can do all of those things in the portal. But we don't have that available yet. So right now you're just going to have to review your local procedure, right? Your local process and share these updates and this information with your colleagues and your peers to say, hey, there's been some major changes. We need to review what we're doing and make sure that what we're doing is in alignment with the portal. Okay. Great question. Anything else? I know we are now 18 minutes over, but these are really good questions.
I have another question about what we were just talking about. So if they do give them the fingerprint letter to go get fingerprinted,
it's not going to hurt.
It'll be, but
Oh,
we
go
can
ahead.
upload that as well.
You could.
Okay.
You could.
Just
in the
wanna double check.
transition, in the meantime, you could. It's not going to hurt anything because they're getting the same code, right? The codes haven't changed. The Purpose Codex code that you've always used is still the same code. We've made significant changes to the letter to come into compliance with some things we were out of compliance with the Missouri State Highway Patrol, to make the instructions better, to make the directions for registration clearer. The new 26A is a much better form to be using. That is our required form in the portal and for licensing purposes. We understand there's going to be a transition because some areas have investigators and case managers handing out the old letter. I would still encourage you to share that form with families in the portal because it also has some updated language about their rights and things like that, right, Abigail? There's like some updated language.
Yes.
Yeah. But the code and them getting fingerprinted, if they get a letter from an investigator or case manager, like within the next week or two, or even the next month, and they call and they register and they use the same code it's not going to cause a problem for you. It's not going to cause a problem in Mox, but we need to be working towards changing that process because there's a new form that has been updated with required information, and it's only available to you in the portal. You can print it, you can print a blank one from the portal if you want, but that really kind of defeats the purpose. You should probably be having a conversation with your teams on how are we going to do this differently.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Dorelli, I'm handing it back to you. I know there were lots of other questions in the chat. I would just really encourage everybody. Many of those questions were questions that we address in the office hours. So if you haven't come to one yet, or the first one that was available, look at the calendar, come to one, and let's talk about your case specific stuff that you have questions about or that you need help with.
Yep. That's exactly what I was going to share, Lauren. Show up to our office hours. We're here for support. Again, don't feel like you're doing this alone. The last thing that I had was just our training survey. Like we shared on site, we learn a lot from your feedback. So I'm going to share my screen really quickly here. If you all have a few minutes, I know some people just need to go already, but if you have a couple of minutes, we would greatly appreciate if you could scan this code. I'm not sure if you can, oopsie, there, if you can see this right before you drop, we would love your feedback. Reach out with any questions. We are here to support you. Am I sharing it?
Yes, Aurelia. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Thank you, everyone, so much. Good to see all of you.